525,600 minutes in a year. A stitch in time. One moment can affect the rest of your day, your week, or even your year. With time being the most important thing that you can spend, how do you spend your time? I'm Kyle Berry, and today we will be talking about social media, how we use it, and how long that takes. Then we will take a look at a hypothetical situation and how extended social media use can affect you. First, social media, the information highway. The developments of the past 20 years has allowed the world to share information at lightning speeds, with information at your fingertips, allowing you to check in on a friend you haven't seen for years, or even meeting people from across the world who share your interests, be it anime, 3D printing, or painting. Communication has never been so easy. But with every good thing, there's always a dark side, especially with technology. In comes the endless scroll. How many of us have gotten on Facebook or Instagram for one thing, and hours later, we discover the bottom of the endless scroll? With such an addition, how much time do we actually spend on social media? In case you were wondering, it's 144 minutes a day on average, or just shy of 2.5 hours. Can you imagine what could be accomplished if we put the devices down and did something productive? This year, we are projected to have 3.8 billion people who use social media. At an average of 2.5 hours a person, that's 34,678,500,000,000 hours in a year. Now take a second and let that number sink in. It's often said that a skill takes 10,000 hours to master. And if we apply that to this large number, it's the equivalent of 346,750,000 skills mastered in a year. So how does this apply to you and I? If we turn to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, we can take a gander. They state that on average, we spend 6 years and 8 months on social media, a far cry from that 37 some odd trillion hours. But if we convert this number to hours, it's 58,240, or just shy of 6 of those mastered activities. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't use social media. It is by far an invaluable tool. It has allowed me to stay in touch with some of my heroes, some friends from high school and college, or people who meant a lot to me. All I am suggesting, however, is that we evaluate how and when we use it. Now, onto that hypothetical. I will be using myself as an example in this, and I will be using my approximate time for a week to illustrate how social media use can be detrimental to our lives. On the left, you will see an activity, followed by an allotted time, a number. This is the time that I spend in a week on said activity. The number to the right is calculated by taking the number of hours in a week, 168, and subtracting the allotted time at the left to give us the remaining free time. So I sleep about 8 hours a night. I work 4 tens at night. I show up early and I leave a little late. I travel to and from work. Hey, I even eat food. I shower, I brush my teeth, and I shave. I exercise. I might watch something to wind down after a hard day. Hey, I might even help my wife with the chores around the house. And then I have class and homework. Now we can see that there are approximately 5 hours left in a week. Now if we add the 2.5 hours a day, or 17.5 hours in a week, we can see I've run out of time. Something has to give, and let me tell you, it's usually exercise, sleep, or even a skipped meal. Now, we are all different, and I really should work on some of these things and spend a lot less time on social media. Some of you may spend more or less time on these things, or even add your own activities. But from this simple exercise, we can see that how we spend our time matters, because time is the only thing we run out of. How we spend our time matters. And it is up to each of us to determine what a good use of our time is, whether that is checking in on an old friend or endlessly scrolling through Facebook until your battery dies, your wife wakes up and tells you to go to bed, or some other happenstance. Looking back, we have discussed social media use, how long we spend on it, and what that can mean for us if left unchecked. I would implore each and every single one of us to go home today and reevaluate how we spend our time. We often complain that we have no time for things, that there simply isn't a way. But is that really the case? Or do we just spend our time on things that don't really matter? Remember, a stitch in time saves 9. How will you measure your year?